Hello and welcome back to the End of the Mic podcast with Carson.
And Zachary.
And today, special episode, NBA trade deadline. I think it was a boring one. I didn't really enjoy it. There's a couple of things that went into that, but we'll talk more about that later. Zachary will give his opinion on this trade deadline and some other stuff, and we'll talk about all the important trades and list all the other trades. Make sure you know all of them in case you have been living under a rock for the past 2 days. And we'll be right back. Alright, we're back. And, of course, special episode coming out on a Thursday. Of course, it's the trade deadline. Now, Zachary, what do you think about this year's trade deadline?
Well, overall, I think you said you were kind of disappointed. I'm not quite disappointed of it just because the Cavs' whole situation was pretty exciting to, get updates about. But I think the whole thing as a whole was a little anticlimactic from what it could have possibly been. There's a lot of trade candidates that ended up not being traded. There's a bunch of rumors that ended up not, coming to fruition or whatever. It was just kind of stuff that, just some like 2022 picks or whatever, 23, 21, a whole bunch of second rounders being exchanged, some lesser known players. So I think it could have been more with some higher name or some bigger name players being traded that ended up not being traded. But overall, it was exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, so I already said I did not enjoy it. There's a lot of reasons to go into that. Grizzlies did not do anything. And this was our most important trade deadline probably ever. And we didn't do anything about it. The Cavs, like you said, made some moves. We'll get to those in a second. Now, the first trade, not an exciting one. It was pretty late into the day. Trades usually start around 9:30. The first trade of the day didn't happen until like 10:45 in the morning. It was Jameer Nelson and a 2022 second-round pick from the Bulls to the Pistons for Willie Reed and a 2022 second-round draft pick. Now, I don't know why the Pistons really wanted to do this. I guess they didn't have enough room in their front court and decided that they were going to get a backup point guard, a veteran, to come off the bench. And they're basically just swapping second rounders, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, I don't really see a point in this deal at all. Pistons have now gotten rid of both of their pieces from a Blake Griffin deal, so and it's just kind of, I think you're going to suck in 2022, which is no way to calculate that at all. So there's really no point in this trade.
Yeah, kind of one of the pointless trades of the day, and I texted Zachary when this trade happened. I'm like, finally, something happened at least at really late in the morning. I was really hoping more would happen fast. It was, and the next trade, I think it was the biggest trade of the day.
Yeah, I think so too.
The only superstar on the move today, one that I did not expect it. Did you see it coming?
I was not surprised by it, but I did not expect it just because, Isaiah Thomas has been talking trash about the whole locker room and the play, for the past couple of weeks. Obviously, he's been leading the charge against Kevin Love for no reason. And he obviously did not fit in Cleveland even when he was getting healthy again. He is not contributing for Cleveland at all, so I'm not surprised by him. I think they didn't get as much in return for him and a first-round pick, but I was not totally shocked.
I wasn't surprised, but like Zachary said, I was not predicting it. If any Cavs were going to get traded, I was expecting Kevin Love, but no team really wants to trade for him because of his injury status right now. But yeah, so the deal that went through was Isaiah Thomas, of course, superstar midget point guard for whoever, and Channing Frye, who is a veteran three-point shooting big man, and a 2018 first-round pick. I believe that's the Cavs pick for Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance from the Lakers. Now, what does this mean for the Lakers? Well, I read an article that said, did the Cavs just help the Lakers sign LeBron James? I don't know, honestly, how I feel about that, because
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting way of, we're going to give you an expiring contract, 2 expiring contracts and a first for two guys who don't expire next year. So the Lakers got rid of commitments for next season. They don't have to re-sign Isaiah Thomas or Channing Frye. And they were just looking for a first-round pick for Larry Nance. Or actually, they're looking for a first-rounder for Julius Randle and Jordan Clarkson. They ended up giving up Nance instead of Randle. But they're getting all of their flexibility. And I think that for the Lakers, this trade was about flexibility for them. Obviously, they get Isaiah Thomas, but he's not the best fit in LA because you already have Lonzo Ball there. He's not somebody you would expect to be a ball dominant like Kyrie Irving is probably a ball dominant point guard. Russell Westbrook is a ball dominant point guard, but Lonzo Ball has to have the ball in his hands to set up the offense, and he has to, get the assists, get the rebounds. He does a lot of stuff as that one. It's hard to see him transitioning into a lesser role with Isaiah Thomas there, and it's hard to see Isaiah Thomas not being the Isaiah Thomas that he was in Boston. He tried to do that in Cleveland. It didn't work out quite well for him. So he struggled with another ball-dominant guy with LeBron in Cleveland. He may not get much, but he'll probably improve a little bit just because he was so awful in Cleveland. But he may not be his Boston self in Los Angeles. I don't expect that. But for Cleveland, they gave up Isaiah Thomas, who at the time, they didn't have any point guard depth. They later got George Hill. But at the time, I was thinking, why this has to be getting ready for LeBron leaving and getting some young players in Clarkson and Nance. As it turns out, I don't think that's what they were doing. But I'll get to that in a minute. Cavaliers get, a couple young guys, some point guard depth and big man depth that they've needed for an expiring contract in Fry that they weren't using that much. He's on a $7 million contract that they didn't need. Isaiah Thomas on an expiring contract. And this means Cleveland has one less player that they need to re-sign this offseason. So they can use all of their cap money to re-sign LeBron. Including this deal, they got rid of $20 million in cap space over all of their trades. Which, think about LeBron, you can use, you can already use some of the cap room that they had, which granted wasn't a lot, but now you have even more money to give LeBron.
yeah, this trade is really weird for both teams. The Lakers didn't need Isaiah Thomas. He probably doesn't want to be there. He didn't want to get traded, but that's his fault for making a ruckus in Cleveland and being really bad. The Cavs should have gotten Julius Randle and not given up a first rounder. That would have made me a lot happier and a lot more satisfied with this deal for the Cavs. It doesn't make sense to give up a first rounder and get the worst of the two in Randle or Nance. It just doesn't make sense to me when they could have gotten Randle.
Yeah, I think Randle's the better of the two between Nance and him. But it might have been the Lakers, like I said, wanted to free up all of their flexibility for next season so they can have that 2 max contract slot, and maybe they can re-sign Randle and not have him losing time to Nance and Kuzma. So I think they free up the 4 spot and get flexibility, and I think that's what they wanted.
Yeah, so gaining flexibility for the Lakers is their reason, and for the Cavs, freeing up cap space, getting young players, and getting a better fit for their team. So so this deal, kind of a weird one, but I guess it works. The next trade is Bryce Johnson and a 2022 second-round pick to the Memphis Grizzlies for forward James Ennis. Now, I like this deal as a Grizzlies fan. I think it's good getting a second round pick. That's always nice to get. You got to build up the second rounders. Losing James Ennis, he lost his rotation spot to Dylan Brooks this year, so I wasn't really that worried about it. I like his game. I think he'd fit better somewhere else. Bryce Johnson, he'll be a G League player for us, so maybe he'll turn into something one day. I doubt it.
I mean, I personally, I'm kind of a UNC basketball fan. My grandfather went there, so I've been watching them for multiple years. My parents are fans of UNC, so I was watching Bryce Johnson, throughout his college career, and I really liked the kid. Taking 25th, 26th in the 2016 draft, but has only played 12 NBA games in his career due to injuries. I think if he could be a decent third string small forward, I don't see him as being anything close to like a starter or even role player, but I like him as somebody who could step up to be a role player off the bench if somebody go down or something. But I think James Ennis for a second round pick alone would be a good trade. But we also got another young prospect. Bryce Johnson is not going to contribute right away. Maybe not next year or the year after that. But I mean, if we get him to the very minimum contracts, his contract's up at the end of the season. He could be one of those young guys on our roster that maybe collects dust, maybe can do something in a few years. But just James Ennis, really quick, he's kind of a slashing / 3-and-D player. He didn't really fit in the role playing that we wanted him to do. We kind of wanted him to be what Dylan Brooks is now for us, which is kind of space out the wing and have to slash as the three. But I think he has potential to be a good role player on another team. He was pretty good for us last year, filling in for injured Chandler Parsons, but he started at the three a little bit last year, and I kind of liked what I saw him, but there's no way we're going to re-sign him this offseason just because we have no cap to sign him, and he probably wants more than $3 million next year, probably $4 or $5 million, just because he's shown that he could do something. The Grizzlies did not lose this deal. I don't think the Pistons did either. I think it's good for both teams.
Yeah, so Grizzlies get a young guy in Bryce Johnson. Maybe he becomes something. As a power forward, we have a lot of power forward prospects with Ivan Rabb and Jarrell No Hands Martin. They need to put some glue on his hands. But Bryce Johnson, interesting, out of North Carolina. I like this trade for the Grizzlies. Second round picks are always nice to have. Maybe we can get Dylan Brooks 2.0 because you can never have enough dilly-dillies. So, back to my king, dilly-dilly. Luke Babbitt from the Hawks to the Heat. Back to the Heat where he played last year and the year before that, I believe, for Okaro White. Now, this trade is horrible for one team and good for the other. The Heat get one of the best pure three-point shooters in the league, a white guy, because you can never get enough of those in the NBA. But he's shooting, I believe, around 44% from three, which is ridiculously good. And our Okaro White is a G League player who is not very good. Have they already waived him?
Yeah, I believe they already have.
All right, so this trade is horrible for the Hawks. They could have gotten a second rounder or just cut him. There was no need to trade for Okaro White. Get us. I bet you they got offered a second rounder from a team. There's no doubt in my mind because every team wants that 3-point shooter to come off their bench.
Yeah, Babbitt shooting 44% from three, which, like you said, really good. He wasn't even on a big contract. He had $1.9 million contract, so it's not like the Hawks were clearing cap. I get that he's 28 right now, and the Hawks want to play their young guys, but there's no sense in getting, a Okaro White for Luke Babbitt. They might have been able to package him with, like Marco Bellinelli in a second for something of use later. I don't like this trade by the Hawks, but the Heat definitely got a steal in Luke Babbitt. He could probably get some minutes there and be a 3-point shooting threat.
Yeah, so good deal for the Heat. They get a rotational player in Luke Babbitt who can score well. Not much of a defender, but they've got some defense already, so that's fine. Now on to another trade, probably the second biggest of the day. Now this is a doozy. It's one of the 3-team deals today. Now you got to listen closely. Now the Cavaliers gave up Derrick Rose, Jay Crowder, Amon Shumpert. The Jazz gave up Rodney Hood and Joe Johnson. The Kings gave up George Hill. Now, the Cavs get Rodney Hood, George Hill. The Jazz get Derrick Rose, Jay Crowder. The Jazz have announced they want to waive Derrick Rose, and the Timberwolves are interested in him.
The Chicago Bulls actually signed him to a 2-year deal.
Who, Derrick Rose?
Yep.
Okay. So the Timberwolves were showing massive interest, but
I think it's Chicago Bulls. I saw a report. I'm looking up right now.
So some team signed Derrick Rose. That's fine. But the Jazz get Jay Crowder. Maybe he'll fit in with the Jazz. I did not know he was part of the initial deal until a couple hours after it happened. He doesn't really fit in with the Cavs, so that makes sense. And then the Kings get Joe Johnson, Amon Shumpert. Joe Johnson wants to be released by the Kings, and Amon Shumpert's just a decent bench player. Now, who got the best of this deal? No doubt in my mind that the Cavs got the best part of this deal. Rodney Hood was the best player in this deal. George Hill was the second best, and Jay Crowder was the third best. That's how it goes in my mind, at least. Rodney Hood, 25-year-old, came out of Duke 3 years ago. He's one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. Can score on the inside, can dribble, can shoot threes, can play defense. Really, really valuable player for the Cavs to get. I think he'll start at the 2.
Yeah, especially on a team that, now with Dwayne Wade gone, Rodney Hood definitely can get a really good amount of minutes on the Cavs. Like you said, really good wing player. Cavs have been kind of lacking some offense besides LeBron and Kevin Love in the starting lineup. Now they got a really solid wing player for only Jay Crowder and Derrick Rose and Amon Shumpert. They got George Hill in this contract on this deal too, so I think Cavs definitely win this one. Didn't have to give up a lot. Jay Crowder has not been his Boston self on the Cavs. He may not ever be his Boston self because Boston has this thing where they take guys like Jay Crowder and Evan Turner, and they turn them into the best years of their career. And Cavaliers were expecting Boston Jay Crowder. They got really bad.
They got Mavericks. They got Mavericks Jay Crowder.
Yeah. Derrick Rose. As much as I love Derrick Rose in 2011 when he played at University of Memphis, he's not a starting caliber point guard at all. Maybe not even a backup. Basically, he's just a veteran who's been to the playoffs before. I don't know why the Jazz would trade Hood for. They got rid of Joe Johnson's contract, which is like $10 million or something. But why would you want Derrick Rose or Jay Crowder? They would have kept Rodney Hood for the playoff run, or could have gotten something more for him. I believe he was probably sought after by 20 teams on the NBA trade markets, I heard. So they would have gotten more for him. This might have been one of their last resorts.
Yeah, I feel like they could have gotten a first rounder for Rodney Hood easily.
I would say that's a stretch, but because I think he is a free agent this offseason.
He's a restricted free agent, though. There's...
Okay. I think they might have to take in a bad contract.
Okay, but that's fine because they're a bad team. So yeah. I think they could have gotten one without getting a bad contract anyway. He's 25 years old, restricted free agency this year. The 3-and-D player. I think they could have gotten a first rounder for him, but Jay Crowder's interesting, and Rodney Hood didn't have a place on the team anymore. Fits well with the Cavs. George Hill is another part of this deal that's pretty important. There have been George Hill to the Cavs talks for probably what is it, 2.5 weeks now? They actually had a deal, what was it, 2 weeks ago, and then it fell apart.
Yeah.
And so...
But I like George Hill on the Cavs because, he is overpaid. He's getting paid like $19 million over the next 3 years. Signed it this offseason with the Kings. But the Kings obviously were not going to play him. They wanted to play De'Aaron Fox, and they're young guys. So he was getting a limited role on the Kings, and Cleveland said, we'll take a bad contract. Essentially they got George Hill on a bad contract, but George Hill is still a decent player. He's a pretty good two-way guard, and that's what they need. Cavaliers need two-way guard or two-way anybody to play next to LeBron. I think that's what LeBron plays well with. That's where he wanted D-Wade, but he was just older, washed up D-Wade, and I hate to say it about D-Wade, but he was washed up on the Cavs.
It's okay, because he's got a son, everybody. His son will be in the league in like 4 years. It's fine. We'll have Dwayne Wade 2.0.
Yeah. But I like George Hill on the Cavs, like I said. He's always going to be their starting point guard, then Jose Calderon will be their backup point guard.
Or no, Jordan Clarkson.
Wow, I'm dumb. I'm really dumb.
It's no. Actually, you might be right. He might play shooting guard. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, but Cavaliers, I think they won this trade, not giving up a lot for a good 25-year-old Rodney Hood and George Hill. Utah got rid of a contract, and Kings, as always, are the retard of this trade.
Well, I don't know. They dumped a lot of salary.
But why would you trade for another veteran?
Because he's gonna get waived.
Okay.
He wants to get a buyout. They're almost done with a buyout agreement, is what I've heard.
Okay.
And Amon Shumpert his salary is not that bad.
No, but Joe Johnson's at $10 million, so. Okay, so I guess the Cavs basically win this trade, and Jazz might lose it.
I think the Jazz lose this trade by far.
Yeah, you're probably right. The only thing they did was get rid of Joe Johnson's contract.
Yeah, but that's not enough for giving up Rodney Hood for Jay Crowder, basically.
Yeah, unless Jay Crowder is like, I was just being shitty, so that
he would get traded.
Trade me away.
So let's rate this 1 to 3. So number 1 is the Cavs, obviously. 2 is the Kings, I think, and 3 is the Jazz.
Yeah. Actually, Clarkson could play. I'm looking at the depth chart. Kyle Korver is probably going to play backup shooting guard.
Yeah. So where is Clarkson? So Clarkson will play backup point guard.
Yeah, and then.
Or he'll start. No. That would be interesting to see Clarkson start and Hill come off the bench.
But can Clarkson play defense?
He's not horrible.
Okay, but there's. I don't know. I guess they'll try to. What I think they're going to do is they're going to try to get Hill, see if he can get something going, and if not, they might give Clarkson a shot.
They've got a lot of practice to do, though.
Oh, yeah.
With a whole new team.
I mean, they have J.R. Smith, too, so.
Yeah, they should have traded J.R. Smith.
They should have traded Tristan Thompson.
They should have traded both of them, and they should have gone after DeAndre Jordan harder.
Yeah. Did you see that trade where they're trying to give Channing Frye and Amon Shumpert and like cash considerations for DeAndre?
No, I didn't see that.
They might have added the Cleveland first, but it was something really bad for DeAndre. Like it was like really ridiculous.
If I'm the Cavs GM, in my brain, I'm thinking, if the Clippers offered me DeAndre Jordan for the Brooklyn pick straight up, say salaries are not involved at all, I would take that so fast. They wouldn't even be able to finish the sentence.
I would not. I don't like that. Yes, Kevin Love can play the 5.
But he's not good at defense. Their whole problem this whole season is the defense. And what is DeAndre Jordan? A defensive specialist.
For $30 million.
But it's a 1-year rental. And who says they hit on that draft pick anyway?
I don't know. I don't Jordan on the Cavs, I don't think they should have just given Brooklyn straight up, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they held on to the Brooklyn pick.
But what else would the Clippers want for DeAndre Jordan?
I don't know. See,
Chetty Osman is the only interesting piece I can think of.
I mean, Anthony Zizic.
Yeah, but it's as a GM, as the Clippers GM, I would have wanted to move DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why they didn't. I guess I think they could sneak in as the 8th and try to stay competitive.
Would you have taken Chetty Osman, Ante Zizic, and the Cavs pick for DeAndre?
Hell no.
You wouldn't have taken that?
No.
What if I threw in two second rounders?
25 to 30 first round pick.
But what if I threw in two second rounders with that?
For the Cavs?
From the Cavs to the Clippers.
Yeah, because I don't think 2 second rounders, Zizic and Osman, would be sufficient enough to get past Shumpert and Fry. Actually,
no, but if we're just saying Chetty Osman, Ante Zizic, Cleveland's pick, their first rounder, and 2 second rounders for DeAndre Jordan.
Would be like, I mean, yes.
You would take that.
If the second rounders are like 2018, 2019, then yes, that jumpstarts Clippers rebuilding.
Okay, because DeAndre Jordan was a second round pick. People forget that.
Well, Marc Gasol was a second round pick.
Yeah. Draymond Green was a second round pick. You can find second round players, so second round picks are more valuable than people think.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon won Rookie of the Year last year. Was a second round pick. Isaiah Thomas was Mr. Irrelevant in the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can find second round players. I would have taken Chetty Osman, Ante Zizic, Cleveland's pick, and 2 second rounders for DeAndre Jordan.
Because the Clippers are going to lose him anyway.
I know. So why don't I would have taken Chetty Osman, Ante Zizic, and the Cavs first rounder if nobody else offered anything better.
I don't know.
All right, well, we got to move on to the next trade. We already kind of talked about it. Dwayne Wade back to his hometown team. Or not his hometown, but, like, you get what I'm saying. For a second round, a heavily protected second round pick is the way they put it.
Yeah, this is probably, like, top 50 protected second rounder.
It's a good trade.
Yeah, Dwayne, the coaching staff was already going to live with Dwayne Wade, especially with Rodney Hood coming in. He's going to lose it to some of the more athletic. It's hard to think of Dwayne Wade being the less athletic wing, but he was already going to get like 15 minutes a game. He obviously didn't want that. Cavs granted him his wish. I always thought Dwayne Wade should have stayed in Miami, but I agree with Miami that they didn't overpay for him. Because Pat Riley kind of saw that he was not going to continue to put up solid numbers. So yeah, I think this works for both teams.
Yeah, good trade, both sides. I like that deal. The next deal, I like this deal for one team, don't like it for the other. The Raptors give up Caboclo, the Brazilian Kevin Durant, for Malachi Richardson from the Kings. Now, you look at this and you say this is an irrelevant trade. It's not. I don't think it is. Because Malachi Richardson has potential. He's a sophomore player, shooting guard for the Kings. Played well when he's actually playing. Caboclo, mostly been a G League player his whole career. He's got that potential, but he hasn't really realized his upside yet, and that's scary for a 22-year-old. So, just a little tiny deal. On to the next deal, the second 3-team trade of the day. The Mavericks, you got to listen closely to this one too. The Mavericks gave up Devin Harris and a second-round pick and then the Nuggets gave up Emmanuel Mudiay, and then the Knicks gave up Doug McDermott and a second-round pick.
Yeah. I think the Knicks got a steal with Moutier.
Wait, I didn't say what people got. Oh.
Right, and I mean, Moutier is one of those players where there were high hopes coming in, 10th overall draft pick. The Nuggets, he was supposed to be their point guard of the future. Obviously, didn't work out that way. But Moutier, nobody's arguing that he's not talented. Everybody knows he's talented. Maybe he just needs another change of scenery. But his best season was his rookie season when he put up 13 and 5. I think there's a chance he puts up those numbers on the Knicks. He's going to get the minutes as long as, injuries, work out for him. And, Frank Killing, whatever his last name is, on the Knicks, Big Frank, he's going to get some minutes too. Jared Jack's going to gradually go out of the rotation, so Moutier's going to get those minutes. I think a change of scenery in New York, maybe a big market team, could really help his career. And the fact that New York got Moutier and a future second rounder for just Doug McDermott, I think that's a win.
Yeah. So if we're gonna rank this trade like we did the last 3-team trade, Knicks win this by a long shot. The Mavericks come in second, and the Nuggets lose this trade.
I don't know, because the Nuggets get a 2018 draft pick.
Yeah, it's a second rounder, but they also lose Emmanuel Moutier. That's not worth it. That's not worth it to me.
Because Dallas gave up, 2 second rounders for Doug McDermott?
They gave up Devin Harris and a second rounder, I think.
Okay. Devin Harris and a second rounder for Doug McDermott, or Emmanuel Moutier and a second rounder for Devin Harris and a second rounder. I don't know. It's just kind of a tie between those two because Denver kind of gave up on Moutier, but they still got, a young guy in Devin Harris and a second round pick. So I don't see how they could lose this trade.
Yeah, but Knicks win this by a long shot.
Yes.
All right. Next deal, MVP Rashad Vaughn traded again for Dante Cunningham from the Pelicans. This makes sense for the Pelicans. Getting a young... I don't understand why the Nets did this deal. Dante Cunningham is not giving them anything that they didn't already have or didn't need. Yeah, but just Rashad Vaughn, 21 years old, could be a three-point shooter in the league one day. The next trade, I hate this trade so much. Noah Vonleh, the Trailblazers traded Noah Vonleh to the Bulls for the draft rights to 32-year-old Milovan Rakovic. He's never played in the NBA. He's been in the Serbian league, I believe, for a long time now. He sucks. The next trade, Sheldon Mack, not the Magic Sheldon Mack, the Hawks Sheldon Mack, or no, the Wizards Sheldon Mack. Now he's the Hawks. But the Wizards traded Sheldon Mack for a future second rounder to the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, not with this trade in particular, but, any trade where you can give a guy that either is on an expiring contract or you're not going to give rotation minutes, I'm all for getting a future second round pick for them because you may not need it now, but you don't need that player ever. So I'm all for trying to find a gem in the second rounder, even if it comes in 5 years. So I mean, anything like Sheldon Mack for a second rounder, or any of these little dinky trades where you get some second rounder for somebody you don't need, I would take that trade any day of the week.
Yeah. So, and then the final trade, a good one for one team, horrible for the other. Actually, horrible for two teams, good for one, and it wasn't even a 3-team deal. It was an indirect effect. Now, the Suns get Elfrid Payton, who has been kind of a, I wouldn't say bust, but some people would. Lottery pick a couple years ago by the Magic, and the Magic get just a second-round pick. And you might ask, why did you say 2 teams lose this deal when there weren't even 3 teams involved? The Grizzlies Once again, losing a deal. Do you guys remember Troy Daniels? Yeah, the guy who's balling out for the Suns. Well, we gave up Troy Daniels and a second-round pick for a second-round pick. Makes a lot of sense. And that second-round pick just gave them Elfrid Payton, which basically nothing. So,
Right. Alfred Payton, respectable 13 points a game, 6 assists. I'm baffled at why they would give him up for just the Memphis second. I get it's going to be top 10 second round, but Elfrid Payton is going to be way better than anybody you're going to find. And Payton, only 23, and going to turn 24 in a couple weeks, but he's been a buzz, but he's not horrible in this league. And I think that Phoenix, could be their point guard of the future if he can develop there. He could be pretty good alongside Devin Booker. I don't know what Magic were thinking.
yeah, just horrible trade by the Grizzlies and the Magic, of course. And now the thing that I have been angry about for probably the rest of my life, I will be angry about it. Grizzlies don't make a move at the deadline for Tyreek Evans. I want to... Someone's going to have to keep me from killing Chris Wallace. Zachary, you might need to come over and, tape me to a chair.
I'd rather tape Chris Wallace to a chair. So
That's actually a better idea. I like that idea.
Chris Wallace, he had one of the most prized trade assets this season because everybody wants to go on an expiring contract, especially playoff teams. And speaking of playoff teams, their first rounders are going to be, 20 to 30 for anybody who wants to go out and make a championship run. So it's not like they're giving up anything of real significance. It's a first rounder, but it's not like a lottery pick or like a pick in the teens. It's like a late first for a guy who'll get you 20 points a game. And the Grizzlies apparently were taking offers, and so there are a lot of teams that are just going to give them second rounders. They said, "Oh no, we want more for Tyreek because we want a first." Well, nobody wanted to give up a first, but then Nuggets, for example, say, "We'll give you a Emmanuel Mudiay in a second, or we'll give you an expiring contract and multiple second rounders." No, we think Tyreek can still get us that first rounder.
God.
Boston comes along. We'll give you Yabu Seal, who's a young prospect, and 2 second rounders. No, we still want to test our luck with Tyreek. And then 201 comes, and Tyreek's still a Grizzly, and now we might lose him this offseason for
2
nothing.
second-round picks is worth 1 first-rounder in my book.
Yeah, especially if they come the next year, or even if it seems as 2 2018 seconds, I'd take that right away. But the only hope that Chris Wallace does not get murdered by a Grizzlies fan is if we re-sign Tyreek Evans with a
and then trade him. We better trade him.
Yeah, unless we're top 6 in the league by trade deadline, or not in the league, in the Western Conference next year, and we have him, then we trade him. And the mid-level exception is basically $8.6 million. And the only reason that's different from this past contract is that we get bird rights on him if we use him mid-level, which basically means we can go over the cap to re-sign him, and then we could do him to a 3-4 year contract. But at that point, you want to give $13 million to a almost 30-year-old coming out of the prime of his career, an injury-prone player. I think this trade down was the crucial to get anything for Tyreek, so we may not get him back. And if we do, he'll be next season. His contract will be fine if he goes to $8.6 million. That will be fine as long as he doesn't get injured to any team that he goes to, not just the Grizzlies. But after that, he's going to be wanting that contract that he didn't get this coming year. And so he's going to want that, double-digit money. And everyone's going to forget he's an injury-prone player. They're going to look, he scored almost 20 a game. He's going to be great at our starting 2-3 wing guy. He can do everything for us. And then they're going to overpay for him, and then he's going to get injured one of those 4 seasons. And then, everyone's going to forget about Tyreek Evans. Grizzlies had their shot. They had a prized trade asset, and they decided to do nothing with it.
Ridiculous. And I can't talk about it anymore. I can't.
Yeah, it was very anticlimactic. I was, refreshing Waj's Twitter account, the entire 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock hour, and, to no avail. Nothing happened.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe it. Like I'm still in shock that.
Yeah, it was not a good. I mean, I'm not going to say it was a bad deadline because we didn't lose any trades, but it was not what you wanted to see because you still have guys like Brandon Wright, Ben McLemore, if anybody would take him, got rid of James Ennis, but Mario Chalmers, guys like that, who if we had patches together, could get at least a second rounder, maybe a second this year and a future second. I take that because we're not going to give them playing time. That's taking up cap for this season. We could get a second rounder for him, and we're not going to re-sign him, and we should not re-sign him. In fact, if we do re-sign him, that's an awful move by the Grizzlies. So if we could have gotten something for expiring contracts for Brandon Wright, McLemore, Chalmers, even if anybody wanted him, that's 10 times better than what we did.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Yeah, that kind of wraps it up.
That's trade deadline 2018 for you guys. We hope you enjoyed the trade deadline more than I did, and we hope you had a great day. Keep having great days, and we hope to see you in the next episode. No weekend episode. Sorry, we don't have time. That's why we did this one. But we hope you enjoyed this one still. And that's pretty much it. Follow our Instagram. Into.d.mike. No capitals, no spaces. And we'll see you later, guys. Thanks for listening.